Mr. Speaker, first I want to support the motion. Mr. Speaker, I know every member will want to serve in certain committees, maybe due to his expertise or our expertise or other things. But Mr. Speaker, if you put all your efforts in any committee, you will get good results, Mr. Speaker, as a member. That's the bottom line, Mr. Speaker. Any committee, from the experience I have in this House, if you are taken to any committee and you put your I wanted to say something about the former majority leader is leaving. Mr. Speaker, I have nothing to add because the majority leader spoke, the former majority leader has spoken. And I can see the former majority leader can do better as a backbencher than where he was, Mr. Speaker. Today, the kind of contribution he has made to this House, Mr. Speaker, are very, very good, Mr. Speaker. I didn't know that sometimes being in the back can be of nice value like the way he has done. But Mr. Speaker, having said that, Mr. Speaker, I have received as a whip many messages from members asking for this committee and that committee. But the only one that shocked me was some of them sent me a message telling me, please kindly put me in a lucrative committee. I have the messages in my phone, so I don't know which one is lucrative and which one I'm still investigating. But Mr. Speaker, having said that, every committee, Mr. Speaker, in this House is as important as the other. I have never doubted the capacity of Honorable Ichungwa. He's one of the best members of Parliament in this House, Mr. Speaker, having served with him now in 2 terms and as the chair. And I know he will serve very well in the Committee of Member Services, the Catering Committee, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker...
No, Honorable...
We are...
we do not have a catering committee in the standing orders.
Member Services and Facilities, Mr. Speaker. Members, services and facilities, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, now we are under Corona. There are no services being provided. But when we return back to normalcy after COVID, Mr. Speaker, if the quality of my tea and my mandasi goes down, I will only blame Honorable Ichungwa and nobody, Mr. Speaker.
What is your point
He
of
has
order?
to take responsibility, Mr. Speaker,
actually,
for my tea.
You mentioned him, so I have no choice but to give him an... So what is your point of order, Honorable Ichungwa? I can't see one, I only see 126 here. Okay, I can't see the 125. There must be a problem somewhere. Now, just use that one next. I don't know what you will do with Honorable Cameron. Well, it will be redone after you leave.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I actually rose on a point of information, and I'm glad that the Honorable
if it is a point of information.
Minority Whip was gracious enough to accept the information that indeed there are member services being offered even today. Member services does not mean catering. I know having come from where he comes from, catering is very important. But member services, Honorable Junet, includes you being facilitated to be in this House this morning amidst this pandemic. And I want to assure you, Honorable Junet, I will make sure that you are properly facilitated. Even the deputy leader of minority, Mzee Baba of the House, Mzee Nuru Angwenyi, Mzee Maina Kamanda, we will ensure whether it is virtually or physically, they are properly facilitated to be able to transact business on behalf of their members.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You sneaked in and tried to give information when I thought you were rising on a point of order. But proceed and finalize.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank him for the good information he has given me and for taking up the job with gusto, Mr. Speaker. I knew his capacity. He might have been, he even runs butcheries in Kikuyu, I know, Mr. Speaker. So I know that is good job he can do. But finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge, finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge members to pass this list as it is. We have tried as best as possible to place members in different committees. Please, and this is not final. This is not conclusive, Mr. Speaker. In case of any changes required going forward, Mr. Speaker, we are going to make sure as whips, we listen to members, we will change where we can. Where if somebody is not, if a member is not comfortable in a certain committee, our offices are open to listen to Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, finally, as the leader of majority has alluded to, after this list has passed, we will have elections for different committees, Mr. Speaker. For those who are from my side and the NASA coalition, please don't start campaign. Please consult me. I might be having information that you don't have, that I want to share with you. Don't waste your money, as the leader has said. Before we start campaign, let's have a small meeting in my office. We agree. We are going to contest in 7 or so positions. Let us agree and consensus, because if you go against my directions, the consequences will be dire. I'm going to whip you thoroughly, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, let's have Honorable Metito. Honorable Metito.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion. And first, let me also take this opportunity to thank the leadership of both sides of the House, the leader of majority and majority whip, and the minority leader and minority whip. Mr. Speaker, like the former majority leader, in the last parliament, I was the majority whip in this House. And I can attest that this is not an easy work, Mr. Speaker. So I want to very sincerely thank those leaders who have sat down and tried to balance all this, because what the leaders are saying, that they are receiving requests, very many of them, that is very true, and actually trying to satisfy the interests of each member is not easy. Mr. Speaker, but having said that, Mr. Speaker, this is the first time I've been in 4 parliaments, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And Mr. Speaker, this is the first time we are doing almost an overhaul of these committees, especially departmental committees, mid-term, Mr. Speaker. It has advantages, it has disadvantages, Mr. Speaker. And I heard the minority whip alluding to the fact that this may not be the final. They will still listen to the interests of members, and further changes may come as we go forward, Mr. Speaker. But I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that at times it is so good to have consistencies in these committees, Mr. Speaker. Because as it has been said by the previous speakers, committees are as good as the leadership of those committees, Mr. Speaker. And at times you try to build up consensus, bonding, trying to understand each other, bipartisan committee work, Mr. Speaker. And then you get disruption in the course of the work, Mr. Speaker, by changing committees. And it will not be easy again, Mr. Speaker. Like, I've been looking at this list, and you see some committees, not less than actually 5, and I'm talking of departmental committees. You see some committees that have had changes to as much as about half of the membership of the committee, Mr. Speaker. I think the most affected one is, if you look at the Public Accounts Committee, which has been ably led by the Honorable Pio and I, and many times on the floor of this House, we have appreciated the work he has done in trying to bring the audited accounts of government to date, Mr. Speaker. But if you look at that committee, I can see there are 9 new members. 9 out of 19, Mr. Speaker, even pick the 8. If you go to transport, 6, trade, 8, and the like, Mr. Speaker. And these committees are 19 in number in terms of membership, Mr. Speaker, of our committee. So I think bringing about, half or more than even half of the members as new members, Mr. Speaker, it may mean that starting the work from scratch, Mr. Speaker. But nevertheless, I still want to thank the leadership, because I know leadership of both sides. They have done a lot of consultation. Personally, as the Chair of Defense and Foreign Relations, Mr. Speaker, I've received, I've been asking many questions by both sides, the leadership of both sides, especially in asking about the performance and attendance of the members of these committees, Mr. Speaker. And that is a very good gesture, Mr. Speaker, to the leadership of the House. Again, it's also good to check the issue of putting one member to about 3 committees, Mr. Speaker, because I've seen the list, and there are members, many of them, who are in more than 2 committees even, to more than 2. And Mr. Speaker, for those who have been here before, they know very well that we are heading to a very critical time in this House, because as we near to the tail end of this House towards election, Mr. Speaker, members will be very busy on the ground trying to campaign for re-election. And that will leave many committees without quorum, and that may bring the work of committees to a halt, Mr. Speaker. So therefore, if you are put into 3 committees, and then you may even end up being just a member to get in, sign to this committee, you are called, give us quorum, then you go to another committee, give us quorum. And if you do that, Mr. Speaker, you will not be doing justice to both the committee and even to this nation in terms of oversight, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
And therefore, I want to end because of time and say I support.
Yes, I'm trying to see if many members can speak to it, even if it is a few minutes each. Like, for example, let's have Pamela, the Honorable Pamela, member for...
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Members, we will share. Please, the interest is so high, I have to balance.
I rise to support the motion, Mr. Speaker, but I think mine will be very brief. I just wanted to say that much as consistency is very important, I don't agree with what my honorable member has just said a few minutes ago, that bringing in new members in certain committees will destroy, making people start at zero. I think in every committee, if you look at that list carefully, there would be members who have been there and they can carry the memory of what has been going on. Secondly, I think rotating all the members in all these committees may just add value to all of us by giving us experience to work with the various departments and various institutions in this country. And so I really think that the idea of moving one member to another committee is not bad as such. It should be important. However, I think I concur with the point that some of the members happen to have very many committees, 3 or 4, and yet others have 1. I think I would want to encourage the leadership of the House, even as we talk of the changes that are yet to be made, to be sincere and very fair to all the members so that we can serve this nation in our various capacities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Honorable Serem. You are the other side. Sorry, this is a confusion of members sitting in different places.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I'm going to give as many members as is possible. So members, hold on, you will get your opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand to support the motion with reservation, Mr. Speaker. I've seen that the whips did a job that, in my view, needs some few corrections, Mr. Speaker. Let me pick one example, Mr. Speaker. A member of parliament from in Moi, Anabkoi, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Jepkut, is in 4 committees, Mr. Speaker. It's a first timer. I'm a second timer in this House, Mr. Speaker. I'm in 1 committee. Let us not use the excuse, Mr. Speaker, that so long as you're in 1 committee, it's being fair. Mr. Speaker, I've gone through the list. Quite a number of members in this House are in 2, 3 committees, and the worst are 4. Mr. Speaker, to be fair, let us have members being given equal opportunity in this House. We might have difference of opinion, but you cannot punish members on the floor of this House just because of a difference of opinion on what maybe the whips feel about our members, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I served as a vice chair of a committee and understand the consequences of a member being a chair or a vice chair on the other party, on other committee, Mr. Chair, Mr. Speaker. So if you are vice chair or a chair and you are in 2 committees, the other committee will definitely suffer, Mr. Speaker. So being in 4 committees or 3 committees, and other members are in one committee, it was fair, Mr. Speaker. So I I support the motion with the reservations. Thank you.
Okay, then we go to the other side. No, we'll have to go that direction. Honorable Ichungwa. What is? But let's be brief, honorable members. I'll give now 2 on this other side, as we are about to wind up now. Proceed, Honorable Ichungwa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I rise, Honorable Speaker, to support this motion. But, Honorable Speaker, with the reservation that has just been mentioned by the Honorable Serem, that indeed, in our standing orders, Honorable Speaker, are quite explicit that no member should be appointed to serve in more than 2 departmental committees, and therefore hope that the 2 whips, both the minority and majority whips, will act swiftly to correct that anomaly so that we are in compliance with our own standing orders. Honorable Speaker, I must also take this opportunity to thank the majority leader, the majority whip, and members of the selections committee for the opportunity to once again serve in another committee of this House, the Committee of Member Services and Facilities, Honorable Speaker, which was previously referred to as a catering committee. But, Honorable Speaker, you will appreciate that with the introduction of the enactment of the Parliamentary Service Act of 2015, this act, Honorable Speaker, indeed went to the extent of defining what will be member services and facilities. And it says in the act, Honorable Speaker, that services and facilities include all means by which members and staff of Parliament are officially assisted in performing their parliamentary duties. And that, of course, as I was mentioning, as I informed the Honorable Junet, will include virtual links and virtual sittings, especially in this COVID age, Honorable Speaker, to ensure that even our aged members, as I mentioned, like Baba of the House, Honorable Nuru Angwenyi, the Honorable Muturi Kigano, who I have seen here, the Honorable Maina Kamanda, and others, Honorable Speaker, are able to serve their people without being constricted because of the facilities and services that will be offered by this House. Okay. Honorable Speaker, I want to
please
also
finalize so that we can save time for others.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I'm trying to summarize, and I want to draw your reference, Honorable Speaker, to Article 127 of the Constitution, Honorable Speaker, within which Honorable Speaker informed the enactment of this Act, the Parliamentary Services Act of 2015. The Act in Article 44, sub-Article 3, is quite explicit, Honorable Speaker, and I think the Leader of Majority former Leader of Majority did mention that the Parliamentary Service Commission ought to be oversighted. Like all other independent commissions in this country, the Parliamentary Service Commission must and needs to be oversighted, and the committee to oversight the Parliamentary Service Commission is this committee. And Honorable Junet, I want to assure you that I will take this new position with gusto and energy, with passion, to ensure that the Parliamentary Service Commission does its work. Okay. And Honorable Speaker, allow me, Honorable Speaker, to just mention 44.3, Honorable Speaker.
The remaining passion for your committee.
Honorable Speaker, I was saying Article 44, sub-Article 3 is quite explicit that the Commission shall hold biannual sessions with each House of Parliament on the status of implementation of Article 127, sub-Article 6 of the Constitution. And Honorable Speaker, it is important that we then draw reference to what Article 127, sub-Article 6 mentions about, and it talks about the responsibility of the Commission to members, Honorable Speaker. And 127.6c says that the Commission shall undertake singly or jointly with other relevant organizations programs to promote the ideals of parliamentary democracy. And Honorable Speaker, I want to end by saying that in this committee, Honorable Speaker, at this time, when parliamentary democracy in this country and in the world is under threat, I will ensure that the Parliamentary Service Commission reports to both houses and tables reports to show what they are doing towards implementation of Article 127, sub-Article 6, and especially in working with other institutions to promote parliamentary democracy. So that in future years, Honorable Speaker, we will not have leaders of a majority or the whips telling members a system where under parliamentary democracy,
All right,
members ought to be electing their chairs and vice chairs, that they must be guided democracy from other institutions outside of this house. We are destroying parliamentary democracy in this country, Honorable Speaker, and I will want to ensure that in this 1 year or 2 years, I will work to ensure, Honorable Speaker, that we safeguard our parliamentary democracy.
More than here, so Honorable